I'd like to discuss for a moment we'll do more detail about the amendments later. I want to say a few words about each of them. They're consistent, first, with the spirit of the underlying bill, a version which I co-sponsored. I'm particularly appreciative of Senator Gillibrand for her good work on this overall issue. The underlying Stock Act clarifies that insider trading laws apply the same way to members of Congress as they do to the rest of the country. Pure and simple, and makes sense. My amendments would also extend generally applicable laws to members of Congress. One amendment would apply financial trade disclosure rules to members in the same way that they apply to others, such as corporate insiders, financial advisors, SEC employees. It would narrow the window from disclosure from 30 days down to 10 days. It would make member disclosure more consistent with rules that require timely disclosure of transactions by corporate directors, officers, and large shareholders. We should do the same more strictly than we have in the past, should do the same as they do. Let's hold ourselves to the same standard of openness and shine the light of transparency on our financial trades if we make them. The Second Amendment, Mr. President, would extend to senators the same conflict of interest rules that currently apply to committee staff and executive branch officials. This amendment, which is number 1481, is co-authored by Senator Merkley of Oregon. Members of the Senate and staff would be prohibited from owning or short-selling individual stock in companies affected by their official duties. We would still be permitted to invest in broad-based funds or place our assets in blind trusts as permitted by the Select Armed Services Committee, the SAS rule, and federal obligations. When asked about the fact that the SAS conflict of interest rules apply to staff and DOD appointees, President George W. Bush's Deputy Secretary of Defense, Gordon England, said, "I think Congress should live by the rules they impose on other people." That's why I'm offering these two amendments. It's pretty simple, Mr. President. We vote on a whole range of very important issues in this country. We should not only not benefit from our votes in investments that we might have, but it's important that the perception be that when we make decisions, we make them for the good of the country, not for our own financial interests. That's something the public finds pretty distasteful. These two amendments together will help fix that. Mr. President, I yield the floor.